G'day my fellow media collectors, I'm Troy and today we're looking at The Adventures of Captain Marvel is a live-action superhero movie serial that was produced by Republic Pictures. The first chapter was released into theatres on the 28th of March 1941, with every subsequent chapter released each week after that. The Adventures of Captain Marvel was the 21st of 66 film serials produced by Republic Pictures and was their first comic book character adaptation, not including comic strips. The serial, featuring the popular Fawcett Comics superhero character at the time, is considered the first live-action comic book superhero movie to be adapted. This serial has 12 chapters with a combined runtime of 216 minutes. It was first released on DVD on the 16th of December 2003. And it was distributed by Kino International. The serial follows a young radio announcer, Billy Batson, who joins an archaeological expedition to Siam, where they are out to find the Golden Scorpion hidden inside a sealed tomb. While examining it, the device is activated and a powerful energy beam is released, causing an explosion that reseals the crypt. With everyone trapped, Billy is chosen by the ancient wizard Shazam to receive the magical ability to transform into the powerful Captain Marvel and, uttering the word Shazam, and free his expedition partners from the tomb. Soon, Billy and Captain Marvel must battle a masked villain known as the Scorpion, who seeks to control a dangerous weapon capable of mass destruction. As the Scorpion's identity remains a mystery, Captain Marvel fights to stop his criminal schemes, leading to a thrilling final showdown to protect the secrets of the Golden Scorpion. The scripts for this serial are a solid example of the Golden Age serial storytelling, blending action, mystery, and adventure into a thrilling 12-part chapter format. While it follows the conventions of the usual Republic Pictures serial format, the writing stands out for its pacing, character work, and its ability to sustain suspense over multiple episodes, which is actually one of the key elements of this serial is its ability to keep you guessing who the identity of the villain really is, right till the last chapter. The serial's central plot is involving the powerful Golden Scorpion device and the identity of the masked villain. So it's very well handled in this serial, with the writers effectively weaving suspense throughout the serial with action-packed adventure and an exciting cliffhanger at the end of every chapter, as per the formula, which kept audiences engaged and wanting more until the next one. While the script for The Adventures of Captain Marvel succeeds in delivering an exciting and suspenseful superhero adventure, look, it does have a few small weaknesses, with a little bit of lack of character development, as it was more focused on action rather than deep storytelling, and each chapter, well, you've got to admit, it can feel very repetitive and formulaic at times, as each chapter essentially follows the same pattern across the board. But look, it is an engaging plot, thrilling action, and it is a well-structured mystery, that's for sure. It really helps it lift above any of those sort of shortcomings, which definitely makes it one of the best serials of its time, that's for sure. And for that, look, I have no trouble giving this, yes, a 26 out of 30. The serial was adapted from the popular Captain Marvel comic book character at the time, who appeared in Fawcett Comics publication Whiz Comics and Captain Marvel Adventures. Although today the character is now owned by DC Comics. Well, look, the majority of the characterization is correct. There, as usual, were a couple little changes from the comics, as you all will know they love to do. But these were done to suit the story of the serial, as opposed to telling, you know, the major origin of him in the comics. Now, Billy Batson receives his powers from the wizard Shazam inside a subway tunnel in Fawcett City. That's the OG. However, in this serial, Billy gains his powers during the archaeological expedition to Siam, aka Thailand at the time, and is given his powers to solely protect the Golden Scorpion and not to exactly roam around and be a superhero for the people, which, let's face it, is a significant departure from the original story. And another alteration of the character was the story. The serial is very much a darker, more action-oriented tone, which actually contrasts with the comics' more whimsical and light-hearted storytelling, as was of the day. Captain Marvel generally avoids killing people. However, in this serial, he is shown using lethal force against the villains, including one scene where he throws a guy off a cliff and is using machine guns, which is definitely unusual for a superhero of that time. Despite the story's changes, Captain Marvel's costume remains highly faithful to the comic book version, featuring the red suit, the golden trimmed cape, and the lightning bolt emblem, which, let's face it, was actually pretty well done for the time.
Really ridiculously good looking.
Now, I'll bring up the cast here. Now, unless you're up on your 1940s actors, I would say you probably don't know anyone. But there is one name that actually stood out for me, and that was Tom Tyler. And that's only because of a couple of years after this role, he starred as the Phantom in another Republic serial, which I actually reviewed here a couple of years ago, if you want to go check it out.
Talk about self-promotion.
So how about we start with our leading man of the movie, Mr. Tom Tyler as Captain Marvel. He was a perfect choice for Captain Marvel, with more of his physical presence, broad shoulders, strong jawline, and confident stance. It kind of makes him look like he stepped straight out of the comics. Now, while his dialogue was pretty minimal, he still manages to carry the role with a commanding presence, effectively portraying the superhero's strength and courage. Now, also, we have Frank Coughlin Jr. as Billy Batson. Now, he does a great job as the alter ego of Captain Marvel, with his youthful enthusiasm and a sense of responsibility. He effectively conveys Billy's intelligence and courage, bringing a sincerity to the part, making him a great avatar for the young audience members out there to identify with. Now, the only woman in this film is Louise Curry as Betty Wallace, with Curry playing Betty as this resourceful and determined secretary who assists Billy along the way. While her role, now, it follows, the standard damsel in distress formula that was known at the time by Republic Pictures, Curry still manages to bring an energy and intelligence to the character, making her more than just a passive bystander that a woman usually was in these things. And last of all, we have William Benedict as Whitey Murphy. Now look, Benedict provides the comic relief as Billy's sidekick, Whitey. Now, his performance is lighthearted and fun, though his character doesn't actually contribute much to the main plot beyond the occasional bit of humour and support for Billy along the way. Now, look, the rest of the cast, well, they're competent enough, but look, they just don't have much depth, for lack of a better term. with their performances serving the story largely as more plot devices rather than fully developed characters. Overall, these parts are really the backbone of this serial, and they do a great job across the board here. And for me, that's probably why I'm going to give this an 18 out of 20. Okay, as we look at the disc and case, so there's a front cover, which is actually the movie poster, if I'm not mistaken, which isn't too bad. I like this one. There's the side there, looks good on your shelf. And there's the back, a little bit of effort on the back. I really like that. Not bad at all, looks good. And now if we go to the discs, there we go, some color discs, but the pictures are pretty blurry. I don't know what happened there. So anyway, there are a few versions out there. This is the one I chose to go with. This is probably the more common one too. Look, I like the look of it. I think it looks good, and like I said, it looks good on your shelf, and it works well. Like, it plays well in my 4K player when I watched it. So for that, yeah, like, the discs are a little rough, but other than that, I'm definitely going to go with 6 out of 10. Now look, there are no special features on this DVD that I have, but I did a little bit of research, and there is a version out there released by a company called Kino International. I hope I got that right. And it has an audio commentary by some film historians. Look, I'm not sure if it's any good. I haven't really seen anything, but if you want one with a little extra stuff, see if you can source that one. They do have a website. But the version I have is probably the more common one out there. Like I said, you can see this on Amazon and places. And look, it just has the chapters, nothing else. As soon as you put it in, boom, it just starts playing the chapters, nothing else. So, as I'm reviewing this one, and it has no special features, you know the drill. That gives us a score of, yep, 0 out of 10. Okay, as I bring up the Rotten Tomatoes scorecard, as you can see, the critics came in at, oh geez, 100%. While the audience score came in at, okay, 67%. That sounds a bit better. Now, yes, there are some great scores there, but I also going to have to put this in perspective for you, because for those critic scores, there was only 5 reviews, okay? And as far as the audience ones go, there's only 50 out there. So look, it's not a huge amount of a subsection to kind of get an honest reflection of what this is about. Look, I don't disagree with some of the reviews. They do show a lot of love and affection for this great old timey serial, but a few more reviews might give it a more realistic scope, shall we say, as far as like across the board. So look, as those are the scores, and I'll have to round them out, it's a pretty impressive score actually, and it gets a score of 9 out of 10. Now, as I always like to do on this channel, I love to do at least one review of one of these real old-timey classic serials, or that from the 40s and 50s, at least once every year. And the more I do them, the more I really become a fan of them, because some of these are absolute classics. I just find it fascinating how a lot of these characters were actually portrayed back in the day, and it also amazes me how bloody good the stories are. And Captain Marvel is no exception. This serial has a great story. Sure, the bones of the story are pretty basic when you look at it, but they do a fantastic job, especially for me, was the secret identity of our villain, the Scorpion. Once that kind of gets established in the first probably 3 or 4 episodes, you're kind of hooked, and then you spend all this time trying to work out who the Scorpion is out of your bunch of main characters the whole way through. And I tell you what, I tried hard to sort of guess who it was, and I tell you what, I got it wrong. And so hats off to the writers for just really keeping the suspense and mystery in this story. It really is the strength of this, because this is the standard repetitive serial cliffhanger endings, but the mystery though is what keeps you coming back for more. It really is the strength of this story. And as I've mentioned before, that Captain Marvel was not messing about in the serial when it come to bad guys, just killing them like there was nobody's business. Like this instance where just out of nowhere, he just yeet, throws a guy off the cliff.
Holy shit, did you see that?
Hey, look, when you're not expecting that from something like this, it really does catch you off guard. It caught me off guard, that's for sure. But hey, it was a different time.
Harsh, violent action!
Overall, I really did enjoy watching this one very much. It is up there with the Spy Smasher serial from around the same time. And I totally recommend you give this a watch, I really do. But if you're a tight ass and you don't want to pay for a copy, trust me, you can just find it on YouTube, as it's been in the public domain for a while now. But I still think you should get a copy for your collection. It's definitely a must-have as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, with that, yeah, I think I'm gonna, for that, I'm gonna give it a score of 18 out of 20. As far as availability goes, this is a 3 out of 5. It won't be too hard to find a copy. You will have to search, but there are a lot of bootlegs out there because this is public domain. So you have to be relatively careful on what you pick up. As far as collectability goes, this is definitely a 5 out of 5, as this is a cornerstone of anyone's collection, as this is considered the first superhero adaptation. So if you're putting a collection together, you definitely got to have the first one. As far as your average price goes, you are looking at somewhere between the $20 to $50 mark for a DVD. So look, it does pay to shop around, as I usually say. Now let's go to the scorecard and see how this one shapes up. Now for the final score, we get a grand total of 77 out of 100. What a great score for an absolute classic. I can't recommend it enough for you to watch. And look, if you have watched it before, let me know in the comments below. Did you pick who the Scorpion really was? Because God, it fooled me. But don't lie, tell me if it tricked you as well, because I'll tell you what, I thought I'd picked it, but I was wrong.
But you fooled me, buddy.
Next week on the show, we are looking at Shazam, the 1974 TV show on DVD. So make sure you come back and tune in for that one. That one should be great. Thanks for watching.